Hey everybody, it's North Star Ball with another interview. A little late than we wanted, but there's been a lot going on in the world. So today we got Andrew Mikkelsen,
Hey, how's it going?
another good friend of North Star Ball, met
Oh
in
yeah.
Chicago Celebration same time as Klinger from our last video. But I'll probably get re-uploaded though. So if you saw that in the yellow draft box review, we also have his deck profile coming back up again soon. But today we got the ninth place starter Frieza deck. Were you the only starter Frieza that topped at this event?
I haven't seen any other starter freezes, and I've been watching pretty much every week the recaps.
Awesome. All right, so you want to just go into like some of your choices and how the deck
Yeah.
works because it's kind of like a little bit of a combo heavy deck.
Oh man, this deck is hilarious. I've gone through so many phases of playing it and learning about it. You start off by loving healing pod, and you just think like, okay, I got a hard mulligan for healing pod, and if I don't see it, I'm not going to survive. But just going from that to thinking, well, if I don't have a unison, then I'm not going to be able to use my deck, and then realizing like the tempo of it all. So, it starts definitely with the unisons. That Frieza Xeno is definitely, anything that discards is going to do what we want to do, and obviously drawing a card is the most important thing. So this one also has the ability to stick on the board a lot longer because it has a permanent that allows you to place one card from your life. You crit a life, unfortunately, but those markers are just so valuable because you definitely need those free play costs. I mean, obviously, everybody knows how good the counter plays are in green and counter attacks. So the next card, I gotta think some testing that I did with Klinger. Um, I was just playing against Sin Shenron and realizing they like going in the end game. They don't mind having their hand depleted. So I had to clear the board, and this was actually the only real good board clear I could think of in green. So and it does what we want to do. Discards a card, comes in insanely strong, 25k double strike crit. Yeah,
Yeah, probably like the
and
biggest board wipe I think in the that we have besides like Zeno.
right, and it only hits your opponent's board, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's very nice. Just and if you have like the next unison here, I mean, it's just 9 unisons. I don't know any other deck that's playing 9 unisons. So people are probably looking at this like this. How does this guy play this game right now? But honestly, if you stick this, I mean, this Brawley stays there. People probably know like U+2 on this. You get tons of advantage off of if you have a healing pod set up with your Dodoria. You're drawing every time you use one of your unisons effects. You're plussing extra. But my favorite interaction with this card was the double strike. This leader's awakened side is a uh, earth destroying Kamehameha. It randomly hits a card out of their hand by simply popping one of your one drops, and gives this guy crit. I mean, it gives any of them crit, but he's double strike 20k, and it's when the first time I kind of saw it go down, it really made me love this deck because it's for 3 energy. This card is insanely strong in this deck, and if you stick one of these and have a Vegeta in hand for the next turn, that's two 20k double strike crit plus attacks. With they probably have like no cards in their hand at that point and no field if you play the Vegeta. So it's actually really nice. I like this Vegeta. The addition of it. 4 energy is not bad once you get to the lock that this deck can set up, which I'll get to. But these one drops are absolutely the most crucial parts of the deck. Um, like I said, I used to think it was the healing pod. I used to think it was the unisons. But the most important thing is being able to use your leader's ability. And so I really like this Chile. This is another one I got to give a hand to Klinger. He plays Golden Frieza, as you know, and he just uses this card to perfection in that deck. So it showed me how much of a toolbox it can create in my deck. You got so many cards this can search. You don't really want to pay 2 cards to find your Dodoria, but I've had to do it. You know,
Right, right.
That I have so many ways to get to it, but if I have the energy and I haven't seen it yet, that's a way to get to it. Because, talking about him next, the best card in the deck, my favorite card probably in the game right now. This card reminds me of one of my favorite archetypes from Yu-Gi-Oh, the Yang Zings. How
Oh
when they
yeah.
get destroyed, they float back and they just keep recurring, and you get advantage from them. And so, if you have a green freeze unison in play, you can add this guy back to your hand for 1 energy. And so that's the most crucial part of all the combos. That's just plussing. And same with the Zarbon. This Frieza's right hand man. I play him at 4 because of his utility, and searching himself can get you through the first couple turns with your leader ability. If you don't see your unison and you don't see healing pod, if you don't see Dodoria, you can still play with just this card, because like when they're discarding their hand, charging an energy, the cycle of the turns, and them not being able to generate advantage off of the next card here, dormant potential, you know, it starts to build up when they see that they're not getting damage in, and then on my turn I'm just recurring all of my abilities. It's really fun. It's really fun because I set it up with the healing pod to just it pluses. It's not the heaviest hand destruction strategy. It's more of it's more just out generating your opponent by constantly frustrating their hand, trying to sack them with the awakened leader. So Dodoria here helps you get awakened a little bit quicker. He hits unisons really hard, and then you just pop them and rip a card out of their hand and possibly take another life. So he was at 2 for a while, but he's another search target off Zarbon. Super crucial to be playing these double strikers right now. Um, Next, that Cosmic Wonder Boy here. This card's insane. This
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand what does the design team have to say about this card. Like you can trigger this card with your leader ability. So you're hitting 2 cards out of their hand if they have 6 or more cards.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately the leader ability will hit first, so they have to have 6 cards in their hand, but
I mean, it's Dragon Ball, so pretty common. Later in
yeah, and
games,
then
though. Yeah.
I'll tell you what is kind of my favorite thing about this card is just well, this is actually the start of kind of the lockout loop. This card makes dormant potential a hard negate. So um, discarding it is like, you don't need to combo that turn because we play hard negates and we play blockers. So those two attacks can be stopped for like theoretically like 6 turns in a row with the way that I've built it. That's because of Master Roshi. These 3 right here, Master Roshi, Ribrianne, Zarbon, you obviously want them in your drop, and they can do so much to add back cards. Like I used to think Master Roshi, even just to add back a healing pod would be nice if I ever have to drop a card for Zarbon. Like
Hmm.
when I think about this deck all the time. I just think about all these interactions because it is really, to me, it's like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. You play cards for free, you recur stuff, you're always adding cards. You know,
Combo and
you're
everything.
destroying the board. Yeah, you can, and then the combo power. I forgot to talk about that with the Zarbon. Forgot to say what his second effect is here. If you have a Frieza leader, if your leader card is green Frieza and you have a green Unison card in play, you can give a Unison or your leader 10k combo. So this guy's a 10k combo from the drop, and that pairs really nicely with my super combo. I like obviously having an extra target to search. Zarbon the Gorgeous, searching that off of the 1 drop is always nice. But this Dr. Giro, I love this card so much. Early game, 10k combo early game is nobody expects it. And like I was just talking about, this could actually be 20k combo early game. People just don't expect it. With this deck, you really want to be reactory towards what your opponent's doing. You want to kind of like you want to just take what they're giving you
Hmm.
and then react with things like this, like big combos when they're not expecting it. I don't mind going down to 3 or 2 or 1 life if I know that I'm going to have Dormant Potential, Zarbon, and a Ginyu, Captain Ginyu in my hand, I'm not taking damage that turn. And I'm recurring energy because this Captain Ginyu, oh my goodness, I love this card so much. It's a Ginyu, obviously, so that makes him pretty fantastic. To squeeze him in a Frieza army deck, like I love this. Just the synergy of this whole deck is fun. I really thought this card was gonna kind of be a bigger deal, but it's so leader locked that it makes sense that it's not as valuable as I thought it would be. But in this deck, it's so valuable. Like Healing Pod, I wouldn't play this card if I didn't have the ability to use it on my opponent's turn. So this card does that better than pretty much anything because it stops an attack, gives you a 3k a 3 cost body on board, brings back a Dodoria for you from your drop and then back onto the field if you want. But also having the ability with if you had an extra Dodoria in your hand, you can add anything else back to your hand and then pitch the Dodoria to proc the pod. So you could get a Zarbon back or a double striker or any, any
Mhm.
it's such a good card because when they see what's happening with the dormant potential and the Zarbon and then the Ginyu, when I do that turn 3 or turn 2, if I was lucky enough to awaken or something like that early, they see it and they say, "Oh, that was cute. Okay, I guess my turn's over." And then they pass. And then I get all this hand advantage back. I don't need to play more unisons. I'm right where I was at when I played dormant potential. And so I do it again, the next turn, and they haven't figured out how to get around it yet. It's too much control too fast. And so that's actually, I think, probably the most powerful part of the deck, obviously, is the dormant potential lock with the Zarbon and the hard negate. And that's why Cocoon's here as well. I got 6 hard negates in this deck. Unfortunately, they don't do anything to Invoker.
Right.
So I was really hoping to not have to see Invoker. I didn't want to tech in really bad one-ofs like the drop negates because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna see a one of when if I got to play against that deck. Well, I mean I see Celzino enough, but speaking of Celzino, I mean I was fortunate enough to pull the trigger on buying one of these. Got a really good deal. I'd say this top was all about just kind of me falling in love again with the game and just motivating myself to start sorting my cards and finding value where it's just been sitting in the corner. And I was able to flip all of my old cards into this beautiful card, and it won me over half of my games. Charismatic Villain makes it just so easy to play that card. I played a Celzino. I think I synchro summoned him with 6 cards on field one time.
Oh
It was
wow.
like a Kakunsa, a Zarbon, a Ginyu. Oh, that was 5 cards. And then a couple 1 drops, or you can do it with 4 with Zarbon from the drop. And it's really fun to take somebody down from 9 or 8 or 7 cards and just finish them like that. That's
Right, because
that's
you get
definitely
the
the
big
dream.
hole effect, don't you? The
Yeah, you
ripcord.
normally do it on 5. Yeah,
Hmm.
you normally do it on 5. Because that's the thing that I keep kind of mainly focusing on when I'm playing the deck is like I think all decks right now, except for maybe pure aggro decks, need to learn kind of the flow of each matchup and the fact that the best advantage to get is to prolong your advantage. You don't always have to go in for the kill. Well, if you're playing green at least, because you have you have the tools to prolong the game that way. So yeah,
Right.
getting to 5 in this deck was easy. And I think when I started playing the deck, I would think dropping Cell a little early. That kind of cost me some games sometimes for sure.
Hmm. All right,
Yeah.
so you touched on the negates. Yeah, you're only like real true hard negate Kakunsa. I like the dormant with the Zarbon because you're referencing that you can still block while dormanting, right?
Yeah. No, Ginyu's a hard negate too.
Oh, Ginyu's, I forget. My bad.
He's the main one, yeah. And you can search him off Zarbon, so you
Wow.
pretty much always have him.
So yeah, you referenced the beginning the 9 unison cards. Did that
Yeah.
ever become an issue in your games during the tournament?
Only mentally. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like I freak out about the fact I'm playing all these extra cards, all these unisons, but dormant acts like you could have if you had like 15 cards and somebody's going to go in on you, you're going to have to combo probably over half of your hand to survive that, if they're going in. And that's what dormant basically says is you have like enough cards in your hand to survive. And so they're all green cards. They
Right.
work for Zarbon, they work for dormant potential, and the dormant potential is still, it's super powerful, but you definitely need to learn how to use it against certain matchups. Like I love playing against blue because they try to bait it, and they try to bait it, but I'm like, you're not scary. You're not scary enough to get me to like respect that. But then you play Obuni, it's like, oh, there it is. That's what I've been waiting for.
Got him.
So people don't play it anymore. So you can like charge this or pitch it for other things. If you have the Kami or the Kais, not sorry, the Roshis set up, I definitely some of the blue matchups can be tough. They do get huge hands, but that was my first win of this tournament was actually against Soul Striker. Oh no, that was round 3 against Soul Striker. It was a pretty scary matchup, but that was one that I did win with this unison. Just having that double strike crit turn after turn was really
Right.
what it just cost him too much. Like he has card advantage, but not a lot of combo advantage.
All right,
Especially if
cool.
I'm using Zarbons from the drop to go 30k, double strike crit for no hand advantage on a unison that's just sticking there every turn. Yeah, that's what I love about this deck.
That's awesome. Was it so? How did the whole tournament go? Pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean my matchups were great. I think I got really lucky, and I don't know if that's how it works for most people, but I'd say yeah, it didn't start well. I played against another rogue kind of matchup, which was Zamasu, and I knew that was going to be tough because they can draw 2 cards on their awaken, and this guy opened perfect. You know how they can open like an awaken like turn 2 when they hit 4 energy on
Yeah.
turn 2. He did that, and so I'm just kind of looking at him like I'm pretty sure I lose now, and I would have won, but the funniest part, he got me down to 1 life, and Salzino was the last card in my life.
Ah.
But I think it was providential because it put me in the loser bracket, and I think that's where this deck belonged. And I won 5 in a row and just got out of top 8, but tied for 3rd place and pretty happy for
There you go.
how it performed great. Round 2, I was in the loser bracket. I faced a red Vegito, but he hit the nuts again. And I had never played against that deck, and I don't think he ever played against my deck. But it's really funny because I put the Kakunsa in there with the Vegeta to try to have an answer um, to the Shinron matchup, but it came in so clutch against other big cards like the Red Vegito deck. They got the 7 drop out on turn 2 and put some good pressure on me, but I just passed on my turn 2, and he swung with his leader, and Kunsa popped his Vegito, and he had no way to recur his chain, so the game was pretty much over at that point. And that's kind of how my tournament was going. Is people were doing what they wanted, but I would just, like I said, I would just kind of wait and get as much information as I could, and just counterplay, counter counterattack. All these things were so disruptive to these. They would forget about the Zarbon popping a card out of their hand. I would sneakily send like a rebrand to the drop with Jiro. Like you could do a lot of toolboxy things with the deck that they might not be catching. And then the round 3 was the Soul Striker. It was definitely grindy. He had his Hachiyak play. That it doesn't hurt my deck, like I said. I definitely try to play around it, but I don't have to. I can just pass turns sometimes, knowing that I have that kind of lock set up. So I was getting into some tougher matchups. I saw Green Gotenks after that, and I played and drew 4 charismatic villains against him.
Oh, geez.
So it was pretty sacky to keep drawing into that card and to be able to keep my unison alive and keep up my lock. But that's how it is. Like if I get to turn 3 and I have the lock, I don't they really don't have a game plan for it yet. And it's normally too much to watch me plussing on their turn and on my turn. And then round 5 and 6 was both red Brawlies. Um, the first one I played, he seemed a little nervous. He was kind of, I don't know if he bricked, but I really haven't played against that deck very much. So
Hmm.
every time I do, I just watch them play basically.
Yep,
And they just take their
it's how it
life and
goes.
take their life. And then they're either happy or they're not. And he wasn't very happy. He passed to me. I established a unison. He went to his turn, made a really bad, like, I think he played a battle card. And I'm like, okay, play out a charismatic villain, pop your established chain. And he's like, oh, I can play another one. But in my head, I want you to discard cards. So all I have to do is keep popping your brawlies and you're discarding your hand for me. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep.
So I do like the matchup. I haven't lost it yet, but I haven't played that many of them. And he didn't have a way to get to the 5 after I popped his 4. So he knew he made a huge misplay there and the game was basically over. And then round 6 was going pretty good, pretty much the same way against another a red Brawley player. This guy definitely opened well and seemed like he knew what he was doing, but I think the lock kind of set him back a turn and he was trying to do a lot on his final turn and he kind of messed up taking his life and I ended up having to call a judge because he awakened early and crit me and did all this other stuff and then he went to go even farther and take more life and that's when we realized it was off. So the judge came in and talked to the head judge and ended up ruling in my favor, which was um, pretty nice because then I got to sit back and watch the finals, and I knew that if if the tournament ended there, that I was going to get top 16 basically and get my invite. So it
Oh,
was
nice.
great, man, getting to watch the last round and just hang out and celebrate after. I felt like this was a big accomplishment for me. uh, I
Oh,
I generally don't rise to the very top, but I feel like I'm in the top 10% probably of players, and it feels good to place right where I think I belong.
right. I mean, yeah, we didn't talk about this earlier, but you did top Chicago Celebrations. You made top 8, right?
Yeah, with Pan.
Red Pan. He was the guy running the Crit Goku, Burst
Yeah,
Goku, Oblivious
Oblivious
Rampage.
Rampage. The Ape Goku is still probably my favorite red
That guy.
card.
Yeah,
I
dude,
want to play it off
I,
the
I,
new red Unison. I want to play that card in a Pan.
I,
Oh,
I threw that in my Broly BR deck.
nice. Oh, because you could pop it and play another one,
Yeah, exactly.
dude.
No,
That's
but
crazy. Wait,
uh,
we're talking about
yeah, we're
green
talking about
decks. I
green.
was kidding.
I know. I'm sorry. Off topic. We just love this game so much.
I almost lost it and went right into. I was about to say familial bonds, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, anyways, that was the deck. Good luck. Oh, I guess it is after draft box. What are your plans? You got like new deck ideas? Might run this again.
Yeah, I got to think of
Maybe.
what I'm going to play because I got my invite, and I don't know. I like this deck, and not a lot changes except maybe the unison lineup. The 2 drop is, like I said, it's really sticky and pretty strong. You don't even mind critting cards because it could be a card that you want in your drop anyway. I
Hmm.
kind of like decks like that where you just kind of roll the dice and say, every time I use my leader, I just roll the dice and I say, how many cards you got in your hand? All right, count from the right, count from the left. The dice is going to decide. I love doing stuff like that. I think it gets people kind of on edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it goes quick. So I like this deck. I might play it. I really want to try testing the new Bio Brawly.
Hmm.
I got the big Brawly, so we'll put the small Brawly in there. I'm a little worried about them being a 9,000 power,
Right.
but having only one energy to establish that loop, like the Dodoria being able to add itself back, the Zarbon being able to boost attack. I even think its minus ability is nuts. It can rip another 2 cards randomly out of your opponent's hand. I don't know if it's ever going to get that big on markers,
Right.
but
Cause
you could definitely play it for 5 energy. You normally don't have a 5 energy, play. So
yeah, your
you
five
play it
energy
for,
plays free.
yeah, and then you can give it critical too, and then it gets like dual attack,
Oh
and
yeah.
so you can give it the crit, and I mean that you can then play yourself Xeno after doing that and ripping cards. So I think it's going to have some nice synergy, honestly.
Oh well, we'll see. Good luck with that. I'm sure you'll be messaging our little group chat like crazy when that comes around December. So I look
Yeah,
forward to
dude, I can't
that.
wait. You
And
guys. you guys definitely helped me out tons. I definitely shout out Midwest DBS. It's my favorite group to talk to. Meeting you guys was, that's what this is all about. And it's unfortunate we don't get to go to tournaments anymore, but I do feel like these online tournaments do have some of that feeling to it. You get to meet people still and see what they're up to, and it's from the comfort of your own home. So I definitely suggest people keep taking advantage of it. I hope to see everybody there. But shout out to you, Dom, and shout out to Andrew. Shout out to some guys at my locals, Denny and Nihad. Those guys are getting back into the game. They're in college still, so I'm trying to help them out by doing the work and being there for them. But yeah, thanks.
Cool.
Thanks for letting me to shout out a couple people there.
No, for sure. And then I'll just shout out the audience. Thanks for watching. Like, comment. We'll have more stuff on the way, more interview, some store championship videos, and hopefully soon, I think set 12 info might be dropping, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes. Other than
Yeah.
that, take care.